So, und das 4. Beginning steht an. Diesmal mit, schon highlighted. Jetzt nicht mehr, jetzt ist das wieder mit Leon. Die anderen 3 kann man in den vorherigen Videos sehen und die Geschichten von Anchoran und natürlich unserem Dargast, der Balladensinger auch ist, ähneln sich zumindest am Anfang und am Ende, denn sie treffen ja wieder zusammen. Enkelimo, der Schurke, der ist auch sehr interessant gewesen von seiner ganzen Storyline. Und jetzt schauen wir mal, was der Chef, sozusagen der König, zu sagen hat. Und es ist schlecht, dass das Spiel jetzt erst einmal abstürzt. So, kurzer Leerlauf. Dann hoffe ich, dass mein Speicherpunkt jetzt noch vorhanden ist. Wäre schlecht, wenn ich mal einfach auf Continue gehen kann. Ist das... jetzt muss ich wieder... das Ganze funktioniert nicht so ganz wie erhofft, aber das Bild ist wieder da. Perfekt. Ich überspringe das jetzt. Also wer sich den Prolog mit Anchoran ansehen kann oder will, anderes Video gucken. Das hier wird nicht funktionieren. Ich hoffe, ich mache jetzt keinen Unsinn hier.
With woodland predators, the best strategy is to strike first and quickly. You can't show any fear.
Kennen wir alle schon.
The path you've chosen seems to lead away from the cabin. It keeps changing its course. Your perseverance pays off. You almost didn't expect to see the cabin's light. The village is quite rural and is mainly dwelt in by farmers and shepherds. The blacksmith looks down and continues his work.
The man you're...
Puh, das hat zum Glück nicht so lange gedauert. Meine Befürchtung war, dass ich den ganzen Prolog wieder durchklicken muss. Leon, diesmal fangen wir direkt an. Keine große Erzählung, sondern machen wir hier direkt Vollgas. The Beginning mit Leon. So ein Schluck Tee ist gut. Ist jetzt die letzte von 4 Beginning-Geschichten aus der Beta noch und dann mal gucken, wann es weitergehen darf. Wenn es denn weitergeht. Schwarzer Bildschirm. Oh. Was hat das zu bedeuten? Aller guten Dinge sind 3. Nochmal. Ich darf mich wahrscheinlich nochmal durchklicken.
You are sitting on the throne in the city of Remagast, north of Hesperia.
Perfekt.
You've become the undisputed sovereign of nearly the entire nation. Despite some rebellions and uprisings, you even managed to subdue Balinor, the city of wizards. Now, your goal is to reach Satrapor, your former dwelling, where you were born and where everything first began. Memories start rushing through your head, tormenting you. You can barely recognize your parents' faces across the mist of the past. Remembering your mentors is much easier. Dargast, Raymond, and Hesperia, the witch. The latter warded you for a long time, and you owe her much more than just your life. She died for a greater cause, leaving your heart brimming with pain, even though you were only 6. The throne room is deserted. You threw out all the servants and guards so as to freely confer with your first ally, Ankelimo. As you're lost in thought, you notice the huge bronze doors opening from the corner of your eye. In walks a hairless figure with pointed ears, heading straight towards you along the granite hallway. Ankelimo's white skin contrasts remarkably against the jet-black columns rising to the ceiling. The elf kneels at your feet, silently waiting for your signal. You're late. Were you drinking at the tavern, or were you busy with a whore? You mockingly ask.
I was drinking whilst having my way with a whore, my lord,
he replies, an amused smirk coloring his face. You both burst into laughter, the mood momentarily lightened. you need to entrust several crucial tasks to Ankalimo, so it would be wise to figure out your priorities. The resistance is gathering south of Kael'sin and needs to be dealt with. It's being led by Raymond, a powerful magician that also happens to be your old mentor. In the meantime, you must also ready the army to take Satrapor. You need to collect supplies and choose trustworthy commanders, and will be marching until winter's end. To successfully achieve your goals of conquest and peace, you need to find a magical artifact. It once belonged to you, but has been lost for quite some time now. However, you might know where to start looking. You must choose.
So, das Beginning mit Ankalimo ist ja im Prinzip dasselbe von der anderen Seite und dann entscheidet man praktisch selber, wohin man zuerst gehen soll. Man macht dann sowieso alles. Wir schicken den Guten jetzt erstmal hier, um Verbündete zu finden.
Recruit 2 trustworthy and reliable warriors. They should be clever captains and have a stainless reputation. We need soldiers that the whole army could blindly follow.
It shall be done, my lord.
I trust your abilities for this task. Without replying, Ankalimo stands up and beats a fist on his chest, taking his leave. As your henchman walks down the throne hall, taking his leave, you ponder on your plans. You think back on what pushed you to undertake this quest, and how important it is to take back your city. You would rather have avoided putting Kael'sinar to fire and sword. Unfortunately, though, too many wizards and old mentors are on your trail. To get here, you had to accept the reputation dealt by your opponents, carrying the burden of cruelties you never committed. Despite this, you discovered that instigating fear in others is often extremely useful. You have shrouded yourself in lies. Rumors serve you as a shield, and the anger within you is your favorite weapon. The door closes, bringing you back to the moment at hand. Now, you can take care of other matters just as important.
Gut, was machen wir denn jetzt als erstes? Zu den privaten Räumen und lesen. Das Blatt Magic Buch. Das möchte er ja sowieso zu studieren, ne? Um was zu lernen. Oder in die City oder in die Stadt, um was? Put your mind in... Geht zu schnell weg. Um an Informationen reinzukommen von den Leuten. Zum Kriegsraum, um zu planen, wie man Südhesperia angreift oder einen telepathischen Kontakt mit dem Drachen zu haben. An seiner Stelle wäre es ja sinnvoll, erstmal hier Büchlein zu lesen und zu gucken, ob man da irgendwas lernen kann.
You walk through the hallways, guarded by soldiers. They jump at your passage, respectfully saluting you. You don't waste your time on them. They're low-level soldiers, not wizards of your league. The hallway leading to your chamber is deserted and dimly lit, as always. You reach the threshold of your quarters when you hear a noise behind your back. Suddenly, you turn and are faced by a black-clothed figure. You can't tell whether it's a man or a woman, but it moves stealthily, lethally. Your opponent's size isn't particularly robust, but the assassin wields a knife in its right hand. You are barely an arm's length apart.
Gut, er ist ja nun mal Wizard, Hexenmeister. Da machen wir doch mal hier, was ein Hexenmeister so tut, ne?
Your rush and familiarity with magic have been ill advisors. The spell that you've summoned hastily and without a second thought envelops your opponent, who seems to be better prepared and motivated than you expected. The killer jumps on you, unconcerned with their own fate, As he stabs you, your enchantment grabs you as well, forcing you to stop the flow. It's too late, unfortunately, as the assassin is upon you now and won't let go. The knife's blade scrapes at the bones of your leg, and pain spreads throughout. The fight's clamor catches the attention of the guards, and they rush to your aid. You're losing consciousness. Your opponent is now a vague blur, and everything fades to black.
Das habe ich nicht erwartet. Okay.
You wake up in your bed, surrounded by doctors. You've been too careless and relied on magic alone. It was foolish of you. You hear them whispering, saying you lost a lot of blood, and that it will take days for you to recover. All of your plans are still outstanding. You can only wait for Anne Kalimo to return with good news.
Okay.
You're thinking of anticipating your military campaign. You could choose to depart with just your dragon to test the enemy's defenses and catch your opponents off their guard. You believe that showing up with such a powerful creature will scare them off before the fight. Spreading terror could be a good solution.
Könnte, muss aber nicht.
Your days are long and lonely, but you make good use of them. Being you isn't easy. Always having to remember you hold many people's fates within your hands. Even though you haven't looked back once, it doesn't mean you've never thought of the consequences of your actions. You've already suffered for many of them. However, it's time to take a new path. It's time to move south. You walk through your palace, up to a wooden threshold, the entrance to the war room. As you enter, you're welcomed by a torch-lit hall and a large map hanging on the north wall. It depicts the continent of Hesperia, its cities marked by different badges. The center of the chamber is dominated by a massive table of carved wood adorned by the same symbols on the map. Hills, cities, and mountains are in relief. The war room allows you to visualize the terrain structure, the roads the army will have to take, and the ones most appropriate for provisioning. Balinor, Snelfos, Ormalin, and Ranin are now under your command. They will supply you with anything your men might need. Despite unforeseen attacks by the rebels, you deem that the roads won't be hard to travel. The only question is whether to go through the Ismarin forest or to head for the Flumar Mountains, crossing the pass and conquering Alanbor, circumventing the forest, and going towards Satrapor.
Gut, ich weiß ja hier jetzt, dass in dem Wald die Rebellen durchaus sind. Also gehen wir mal hier Ellenbor, gehen wir da lang. Wenn es nicht abstürzt. Hallo. Das gibt es doch nicht. Also mit Leon zu spielen, das erweist sich hier durchaus als schwierig. Dann geht's jetzt weiter.
You choose to conquer Alanbor first, and then head to Satrapor. You'll strengthen your powers and secure a constant and safe supply line. As you plan your next move, you think back on the past and the history of the city-states. Your mind wanders back to Triumvar Lotanor, who hunted you for a long time and died trying to secure your blood. You were only 6, but the story's been told by your mentors, who didn't spare any detail. You'll never forget why Triumvar Lotanor hunted you. Like you, he was one of only 4 wizards who mastered all the element's powers. He had acquired a great mastery of blood magic, but above all, he was able to unfold the secret to immortality. That, too, is kept within the book in your room. Therefore, you head back to your quarters and sit at the desk. The volume has an odd leather binding, not unlike human flesh. Even though you'd rather not find out. You've already read most of the manual and managed to master every passage of it. Each facet that governs this magic, forbidden throughout all Balinor. The theory was easy to learn. It only took you a few years, but you could never muster the courage to practice it. Yet, you are far more interested in the following chapters, explaining how to achieve immortality. It is a process that can be triggered only through some exceptional dynamics. Although back in Triumvir's days when you were a baby, such favorable conditions did come into being. You stop to read one segment in particular. These next few lines will explain how, in theory, it is possible to achieve immortality. It is an almost impossible, yet plausible, endeavor. First of all, the wizard, who must be able to control all of nature's elements, shall create a vessel imbued with all 4 elements. The vessel shall have 3 separate slots fit to contain a liquid. Once such a talisman has been crafted, the empty slots must be filled with the blood of 3 other magicians, all of whom are able to control the 4 elements. Finally, the wizard shall summon the 4 elemental lords, as they won't be able to withhold from such a calling. They will bestow their powers upon the wizard, blending together the vessel and its contents. This will render the wizard powerful beyond all imagination, as well as grant immortality. No blade shall harm him. Only the power of all 4 elements, together at the same instant, might endanger him. Acquiring such powers, blessed by the favor of the elemental lords, will confer the wizard eternal life, perpetual youth, and powers such as have never been seen before. You close the book and think. The power you could achieve is limitless, but all the wizards able to control all the elements of nature are dead. You are the only one left. However, you do have a great advantage. The amulet you retrieved from Asperia's tomb is the vessel the book refers to. Inside, 2 parts have already been filled with the blood of 2 wizards who had opposed Triumvir. He took their blood himself, filling the medallion. You were the only missing piece. It was Daragast who had been able to stop him and retrieve the talisman, which he buried together with Asperia's corpse. Now, it seems as if you are missing a piece as well. An idea makes its way to you. Triumvar Lotanor was killed in Balinor, but he was buried elsewhere. Legend says the body of the wizard was exiled to the old, rotting villages north of Balinor, which were abandoned due to a Black Plague epidemic. That should have removed any memory of his disastrous existence in Kael'Sanar. Even though those villages have been abandoned, you have no idea what creatures might be hiding among the ancient tombs. Besides, you'll have to be clever to recognize the tomb. You decide to leave immediately so as to reach your destination by sundown. Then you'll head to Alanbor, ready to subdue it to your command. As you wait for the dragon to arrive, there's nothing more you can do. Besides, marching on Satrapor, the bond between your magic and the creature's feral power could spare the lives of many of your men. You wear some comfortable travel clothes and take your staff and a short sword. You never forgot the fencing lessons you'd been taught by your mentors, Daragast Lear among them. You fill a rucksack with enough provisions for 2 days. Cheese, a goat skin of water, and smoked meat should be enough. You ask for your fastest horse to be readied. You're waiting for Ankalimo's return, or some news anyway, and you'd like to be in Remagast when that happens. You believe it won't take more than a few days for that, and don't want to sit still. You head northeast, sure of your destination. You've lived the history of Kael'Sanar firsthand, and you know that the rumors on Triumvar's burial speak the truth. It's not just Kael'Sanar folklore. It's a sunny day, so you stop for just one quick meal. You reach the abandoned villages just before sunset, as the light is growing dim, tinting the sky orange. However, the sky's colorful hue doesn't make the ghostly scene any sweeter. There are ruined hovels, stone huts reclaimed by the wild, broken fences, and cabins with collapsed roofs. There's but one building which remains untouched. It's made of red stone, and it doesn't look more recent than the others. That strange material, together with the sun's hues, gives it a bloody appearance. The silence is overwhelmingly surreal. The whole village feels like a graveyard. Now, you need to choose where you'll start looking. The place teases your curiosity, but it makes the hair on your back stand on end all the same.
Viel Erzählung, viel Text, viele Infos, würde ich doch glatt mal so behaupten. Und die beste Info ist dieses Wort Rucksack. Ja, gehen wir erstmal durch Häuser.
Despite the years that have passed since the village was abandoned, the houses might still have something interesting in store. Few people ventured here. They might still be well kept. It wasn't a particularly poor village. There's a smithy, an herbalist store, a tavern, and a brothel. You'd like to take a look at one of these places.
Klar, hier. Herbalist. Immer doch.
You head to the building with a lopsided sign, identifying it as an herbalist's shop. Inside, you see several empty shelves, opened display cases, and broken vials. It's possible someone before you had looted the place. You run through the closets and drawers, looking for anything at all that could help you on your quest. Nothing seems particularly interesting, until you hear something rustle. You turn abruptly, and barely catch a glimpse of a patch of garment flying out of the smithy's window. There's still a bit of light out, so you decide to find out who dwells in such a forsaken place, and why he's hiding from you. You run outside, on the lookout, wielding your staff. There shouldn't be a single soul here. Yet that doesn't seem to be the case. The stranger is disturbing. He's way taller than you, thin, and his clothes hide an extremely muscular body. His eyes have something feline about them, and you don't like how such a shady character was able to catch you by surprise. However, he hasn't attacked you yet. He's wearing a dark tunic made of a light fabric, his head wrapped in several layers of silk. His face is covered by an inexpressive mask, which reveals only his eyes. They shine with madness. He carries two oddly shaped swords on his hip, which look particularly menacing. "Who are you?" you ask, revealing a sort of tension in your voice. A deep, echoing laugh pervades him, and the mask grotesquely distorts the sound.
My name is Kentaro. I come from the north. Don't tell him too much, or you'll have to kill him right away.
He continues to himself with a different voice. Chills run through your spine. He's an outlaw, arguing with himself, with two different voices. He must have two personalities. "What brings you here?" you ask again, trying to find out a bit more about the dangerous man.
I could ask the same question.
He replies, determined but in a reasonable voice.
Good, yes, ask him, and then slash.
There's that second voice again. You can't drop your guard, but you want to resolve the issue. "I'm looking for a tomb." Lying won't get you anywhere, and he might have some useful insights.
There are many here, and I'm the last descendant of an ancient dynasty of keepers. Enough! Kill him!
He says, using the other voice. Silence falls. You've heard of this dynasty. It's an old assassin's guild, hired to take Triumbar's body away from Balinor and guard his tomb. You remember the story well enough. Triumvar even hired some assassins from this guild to hunt you down, but Daragast and his companions got rid of them. Where are the other keepers? You ask, trying to buy some time.
Dead,
he replies, shrugging while placing a hand on the curved blades.
I'm the last one standing.
While you can easily guess what that entails, you'd rather not confirm your theory. Anyway, you have a goal to focus on. Could you tell me where Triumvar Lotanor is buried? You keep talking plainly. Kintaro doesn't reply, but he moves his gaze to the red building. That's your target. You just need to get there now.
I'm the Guardian. You can't go there.
He replies with his second voice. Why would you think that? Kintaro unsheathes both his sharp swords. Are you sure of what you're doing? You try to buy some more time, but the situation is escalating.
I'll show you the art of killing. Unless you can answer a riddle,
adds the second voice. So be it.
A man sentenced to death talks to his executioner, who tells him, if you answer truthfully, you shall die by hanging. If you lie, I shall cut your head off. Then he asks the prisoner, how will you die? Can the prisoner be saved? And if so, how should he answer the executioner's question?
Says the first voice.
Ja, so, mein erster Gedanke. Hä? Wieder ein kleines Rätsel. Okay, Hä? Ist ja verwirrend. Ganz ehrlich, verstehe ich gerade nicht. Ich verstehe es gerade wirklich nicht. Ich wähle einfach mal was aus. Vielleicht ergibt es dann irgendeinen Sinn.
Wrong. The executioner will kill the prisoner. The correct answer would have been, die by decapitation. As a matter of fact, if the executioner were to behead him, your answer would be the truth. In such a case, he should have hanged him instead of cutting his head off. Likewise, if he were to hang him, his answer would be false, thus having to behead him. Now it is time for me to be your executioner.
You didn't think this through, but you won't give up just yet. You can fight for your life. You summon a small elemental being, which grabs your opponent's legs. Perhaps he's so mad that he hasn't figured out who you are yet. Or maybe he's just too full of himself. Anyway, it's for the best. Your opponent yells as he's dragged and crushed under the ground. His bones pop and break, spraying blood everywhere. Now, you can head for the red building.
Dann gehen wir mal da rein.
Determined, you head to the red building. It's completely different from the others and looks more like a recent mausoleum. Outside, there's a simple yet unmistakable inscription. Triumvar Lotanor, wizard and emperor, beloved husband. You didn't think a despot could be buried with such honor. Still, Triumvar didn't act solely based on his thirst for power. His beloved wife was taken from him, and he did everything he could to get her back. On his road to revenge, he had many chances to grow his power. Now, you're doing the same. You push the heavy wooden door, which creaks as it opens. At the center of the tomb is a sarcophagus. Exploring the village would have just been a waste of time. You wouldn't have found anything in an abandoned village, not after all these years. You're 10 steps away from the tomb. You'll have to choose what to do next.
Irgendwie glaube ich, dass so ein Erdelementar hier besser ist.
An elemental springs up from the ground upon your command and stretches 2 limbs you might call arms. As the creature works on your behalf, a fan of spikes jumps from the ground to wound it. However, the being completes its task before crushing to the ground and vanishing. The lid has been opened, and now you can approach the coffin.
Richtige Wahl.
Avoiding a trap as you approach the coffin, you stare at the face of a man you've never seen before. The body is in a state of magical embalming. Such a ritual was used only by an ancient assassin's guild. Once, the corpse in front of you unleashed all of them to hunt you down. You take the medallion and place it on Triumvar's forehead. The dead wizard's body starts emitting a blinding light, and you take a few steps back, shielding your face. As the light grows dim, Triumvar's body starts floating, blending with the medallion as it shrinks. The jewel hovers towards you, fastening around your neck of its own will. Now, all the slots have been filled with blood. An arcane force vibrates within you. The power of all 4 elements melts together with your own magic gift, and 4 voices resonate within your mind. Your task isn't over yet, as you remember the instructions in the book. You let yourself into a trance-like state and focus on one of the greatest summonings you've ever dealt with. You outstretch your arms, losing yourself in a world in the balance between the earthly and divine realms. You have no idea how long you've been in such limbo, but when you open your eyes again, 4 figures are standing in front of you. They're huge, such as you've never seen before. They look human, but their color and appearance give away their real identities. They are the lords of nature, the supreme elementals, the divine shape of your summonings. They won't talk, but you'd like to communicate with them. One at a time, they stretch out their hands to touch the medallion and imbue it with power. An excruciating pang flows through your body as the metal melts with your flesh. As the process comes to an end, you fall to the ground, unconscious. You wake up in the middle of the night, but you can see as if it were daytime. The world no longer has shadows, and magic flows through your body as if you were magic personified. You feel omnipotent. You have achieved your mission. Now, you must go back to the palace and choose your next move. You could continue studying immortality, or resume your main goal and conquer Satrapur.
Ja, ganz ehrlich, studieren klingt doch mal langweilig. Machen wir doch mal das hier.
All the ups and downs you've been through so far have seriously tested your limits. You feel different. The new powers you've acquired are exciting. You are more powerful than Triumvar, but this awareness somewhat troubles you. Even though your intentions are noble, power is corrupting. The choices you'll make won't just determine your future. They'll affect you personally as well. Rest. You'll need it. Tomorrow will be a demanding day, and the matters at hand don't ever seem to stop. Your chamber is dark, and you're alone, like all other nights. You would like some female company, could never establish an enduring relationship. Sleep seems like a quiet, sweet hideaway. However, it deceives you all too soon. You're restless, sweating. Dreams crowd your mind as you go back to your childhood. You're in Satrapur, in your parents' palace, the one you would like to take back. The walls echo with sounds from a fight. You try to run through the secret tunnels, but you're alone. There's no trace of your mentors, nobody to help you. Dogs bark behind you, chasing you. Their bloodshot eyes glow in the darkness, fangs ready to tear you to pieces. You keep running, breathless, turning at every corner, to leave the growling and drooling beasts behind. You lose your sense of direction. Unable to see and panicked, you fall into a pit. It's not too deep. Luckily, you only bruise your cheekbone. This was odd. Normally, when you dream of falling, you wake up with a start. This should have been the case, yet here you are. Chills running through your spine. You're the victim of a spell, and you can't help but wonder if it's a consequence of everything you've just been through. You look up, but there's only darkness. The dogs are gone, and the pit's brim, which didn't seem so far earlier, now towers above you. Suddenly, a wooden door appears, 2 torches lighting its knocker. You're still just a 6-year-old child in your dream, but your mind reasons as an adult. You could climb up and head back. The wall offers some footholds. Or you could open the door and keep going. If magic is, in fact, influencing your dream as you think it is, any mistake in this ethereal world could be fatal.
Tür aufmachen, gucken, was passiert. Ach, kommt mir bekannt vor. Es gibt wieder Rätsel.
You're but a child. Such a climb is out of the question. Therefore, you open the door, ready to face whatever lies beyond it. You walk into a wide circular room, fully illuminated. A huge creature is waiting for you in the center. Even sitting, it must be some 10 feet high. You are charmed by its enormous power, yet it chills you to your very bones. How could you oppose such a being if it were to harm you? His body is the strangest thing you've ever seen. It embodies the semblances of many creatures, which you could never identify at a glance. The chimera looks at you, smiling. He has an old man's head with thick, white hair, and eyes azure as ice. His sharp teeth could tear anything to shreds. The right arm looks like a gorilla's, whereas his left arm is an elephant's trunk. The torso is plumed, not unlike an ostrich, and the legs are feline.
Welcome, Leon. I've been waiting for you.
He greets you with a deep voice.
Who are you?
It's the first time you hear your child's voice. It's exactly the one you had when you were 6. You can't hide your fear. It seeps through your scared boy's question.
Someone who has felt a quiver in magic. Today, your actions have perturbed the whole world. You encountered a superior being, and I need to verify you are indeed worthy.
The chimera replies.
Why? Magic is part of my world. I become strong enough to use it however I prefer, and I won't abide by anyone's authority.
You reply, angry. The creature smiles, showing yet again its fearful teeth.
There is always someone higher who needs to exercise control. I've been called the Devourer of Dreams, but many wizards have called me by different names.
You shiver once more. You've heard rumors about this monster, but you didn't think he really existed. The creature doesn't belong to the physical world, merely to an ethereal one. It was created by superior beings to limit the magical abilities of mankind. Anyone who met him didn't live long enough to tell the tale. The only information you have about him are from Balinor, merely pieces of text you've never studied thoroughly. Despite this, you do remember it goes by another name as well.
Abomination.
Yes, I've been called that by some mortals too. However, I only exist thanks to you. Maybe I was given this name so that humans would feel less guilty. You wizards have committed terrible crimes.
Silence falls as you try to remember anything at all that could help you against this creature. He is one of the most dangerous beings on the magical plane. However huge and mighty, he doesn't rely on strength to destroy his victims. He's a guardian god, a supreme ruler of magical arts. Even though he acts through dreams, in his presence, the consequences fall on reality as well.
Did you bring me here?
Yes, I had to test you.
Can I refuse?
Do you see any doors to walk out? Or do you happen to know a way to wake up and never meet me again?
The abomination caustically replies, "You turn to the door you came in from, but only find a brick wall in its place."
Well then, what is this test about?
Your intelligence will be the key. Otherwise, I'll devour your flesh and your magic with it. The only thing that will be left of you in the world will be your memory.
You are in his realm with his rules. You take a deep breath and muster your courage.
Shall we begin?
The chimera bursts into a low, throaty laugh. You're so afraid you can barely hold your bladder. You wonder if he chose to bring you there as a child.
You've already passed your first trial. You managed to reach me. Now, let's test your intellect. An ogre kidnaps a princess, and the knight runs to save her. The ogre shows the knight 2 doors. One hides the princess, the other hides a starving tiger. The door on the left has a sign that reads, "Behind this door lies the tiger." A sign on the right door reads, "The princess is behind a door." Only one of the signs is true, the ogre adds. Where is the princess? Think wisely before you answer, or I will eat you.
You hate riddles, but you're sure you won't get out of this nightmare alive if you don't answer correctly.
Okay, also man sollte das Mikro auch einschalten, wenn man redet. Ich war jetzt gerade so in Gedanken versunken, wo ich das alles nochmal so gesehen habe. Also, ein Text sagt die Wahrheit und einer die Unwahrheit. Es sind 2 Türen. Auf der einen steht drauf, "The princess is behind a door." Also die Prinzessin ist hinter einer Tür. Das ist die Wahrheit. Hinter einer der beiden. Steht er nicht hinter dieser Tür. Also kann nur das da gelogen sein.
The princess is in the left door. The other sign, "The princess is behind a door," is most definitely true. Therefore, the other one is false.
The abomination mumbles hoarsely. The trunk-shaped arm drops to the ground as if it were cut off, but there's no blood.
Very well, Leon, but I'm not done just yet. Let's continue with the next riddle. A crossroads leads to two different villages. The inhabitants of one speak only the truth. The inhabitants of the other can only lie. A wayfarer wants to visit the village of truth and stops a passerby. What question should he ask to know exactly where he needs to go? Think wisely before you answer, or I will eat you.
This keeps getting harder. The Chimera loves debates on truths and falsehoods. You have several answers to pick from, but only one is correct.
Das ist echt... Er möchte ja nur in diese Stadt, in der die Wahrheit gesprochen wird. Der Typ kann ja von beidem kommen. Diese beiden fallen irgendwie raus für mich. Das bringt nichts. Wenn er ja sagt, kann das gelogen sein. Oder die Wahrheit. Also, damit komme ich nicht weiter. Das ist dasselbe Spiel hier. Zweimal Nein. Einmal die Wahrheit, einmal gelogen. Also die beiden fallen aus. Can you take me to your village? Wenn er ja sagt, bringt er mich in die Stadt der Wahrheit, weil er daherkommt. Und wenn er nur lügen kann, sagt er nein.
Your answer is correct,
says the abomination, while the other arm falls to the ground with a thud. You smile, certain you've passed the test. How could he capture you now, without arms?
Let's continue.
In a cold sweat, you wonder how many more riddles you must answer.
Answer me this, Leon. A king decides to offer a large sum of money to any subject who can tell him a clever lie. Hundreds of people parade to the king. Someone says he's been to the moon, while others claim to be able to walk through fire without burning. But the king is not amused. Finally, the poorest farmer steps up, and after hearing him, the king awards him the prize. What did the farmer say?
You're in a tough spot once again. You need the riddles to tear the monster to pieces, mostly because you're disarmed, and you don't think magic could be the solution to your problems. You have only one way out. What will you tell the abomination?
So, eine clevere Lüge. Eine sehr clevere Lüge. Was haben wir denn hier für Möglichkeiten? Die Noblen in dieser Stadt schulden mir Geld. Ich schlafe mit deiner Frau. Schuldest mir eine große Summe Geld. Oh Mann, eine clevere Lüge. Mal nachdenken. Mich spricht die Nummer 3 an. Late Father. Was heißt das überhaupt? Late Father. Ich sag, das Ganze auf Deutsch wäre echt angenehmer. Es wäre echt angenehmer. Aber gut, man kann es sich ja hier nicht aussuchen. Ich muss es mir mal übersetzen, weil Spätvater. Warte mal. Late Father. Mal übersetzen. Verstorbene Vater. Der verstorbene Vater. Ich habe da was anderes gedacht. Ist das eine clevere Lüge? Sie wäre clever, weil man die nicht überprüfen kann in dem Sinne. Ich probiere es mal mit der 4.
Congratulations, Leon. Yet another correct answer. As a matter of fact, if the king admits the farmer's lying, he must give him the money. If he accepts it as the truth, you must still give him money.
The monster's torso drops to the ground, detaching from the rest of the body. The head continues to levitate. Even the legs don't move. Judging by the looks of it, you still have 3 riddles left. You need to stay focused.
Let's proceed to our next enigma. There are only 2 hairdressers in the leprechaun's town, Sage and Bilberry. Sage owns a wonderful saloon. She offers her clients amazing chocolates and always sports great haircuts. Bilberry, on the other hand, has awful haircuts. Her saloon is messy, and even though she doesn't smoke, her ashtray is always brimming. Who would you choose to cut your hair for the Flowers Festival?
It looks like this time the answer is obvious. You only have 2 options, and good chances to succeed.
Wer ist denn? Das Offensichtliche glaube ich in diesem Fall nicht, denn meine Intention ist gerade, dass bei Bilberry mehr los ist.
Bilberry, for 2 reasons. First, the ashtray is always full. If she doesn't smoke, it means many leprechauns visit the saloon. Second, if there are only 2 hairdressers, it means Sage cuts Bilberry's hair and vice versa. If Bilberry's haircuts are bad, it means Sage is a poor hairdresser. So I'd be better off going to Bilberry's saloon.
Even though the creature no longer has hands, he applauds your answer, laughing enjoyably. He's having fun, despite the fact you're literally tearing him to pieces.
Good job, Leon. Now I only have one leg left. Let's move on to my next question. You have 50 anemones, 50 edelweiss, and 2 wicker baskets. You need to separate them so that when picking one flower from each basket, you have the highest odds of taking 2 anemones. How will you split them?
Mathematics was a fundamental subject at Balinor, but you've never loved it.
Take all the time you need,
Says the abomination, smacking his lips. He's already tasting his meal.
Ach, verdammt. Ach, das ist doch wieder eine Frage. Also. Wieder. Jetzt beißt mich sozusagen wieder das Englische, weil ich mir nicht ganz sicher bin, ob das gemeint ist, was ich verstehe. Sind das Pflanzen oder nicht? Das sind beides Pflanzen, glaube ich, ne? Ja, das sind Pflanzen, okay. Von beiden Blumen hat man 50. Ich weiß es ehrlich gesagt nicht. Oh. Das ist halt wieder. Ich bin echt am Grübeln, wie man das hinbekommt. Ja, und was ist gerade? Chancen. Die höchsten Chancen. Dann müsste das hier sein.
I'll put just one anemone in a basket and all other flowers in the other. This way, I'm sure I'll take the right flower from one basket and I'll have almost a 50% chance from the other.
You reply proudly. With another moan by the being, the second leg disappears. Only the head remains, and it keeps smiling.
Great. Now for the final riddle. Answer this last one correctly, and we shall never meet again. You'll be worthy to use your powers as best you see fit. Be very careful, or your life will be mine. A talking cat declares, all talking cats are liars. Does he speak the truth, or is he lying?
Again with truth and lies. However, this time it's a question of wits. You've come this far. You can't give up now.
Eine sprechende Katze sagt, alle sprechenden Katzen lügen. Wenn dem so ist, kann er ja gar nicht die Wahrheit sagen. Das geht nicht. Also kann er ja nur lügen. Egal wie.
He speaks the truth.
Nein.
You claim with certainty?
Was?
You are an insignificant fool, Leon. It's impossible to say. Now
Immerhin kenne ich jetzt die Antwort.
mine.
The abomination pounces on you. His jaws open wide. You try to run, but it's futile. Your limbs are paralyzed, and he swallows you. Everything becomes dark. His teeth sink into your flesh, and the creature chews you up. The chimera tears you to pieces as you suffer unspeakable pain. You even witness the scene as a spectator, as usually happens in dreams, until he eats your head and the world disappears.
Gut. Ja. Ich weiß ja jetzt, welches das ist.
I'll put just one anemone in a basket and all other flowers in the other. The way the enigma has been expressed, it's impossible to say.
You tell the abomination. Suddenly, his head disappears. A hole instantly appears in the wall you're facing, and a dazzling light from within blinds you. Without any ado, you walk through it, delighted by the end of this nightmare. However, as you exit on the other side, hoping to wake up, you find something unexpected.
Noch mehr Tests, noch mehr Fragen. Nicht vertont? Ach komm. Dann möchte ich meine schönste Sprechstimme hier vorbereiten. Mi. Hello Leon, it's good to see you again. Your heart skips a beat. The woman is beautiful and young. Her slim body and her seductive curves take your breath away. The woman's mane, unmistakable and white as snow, contrasts the freshness of her face. Asperia, you whisper. You run to her and you both hug tight. You've longed for her so much, looking for her maternal gestures which nobody was able to give you. You grew up an orphan. She was the only one, together with Dargast and Raymond, who stood by you. You lost her all too soon. Asperia stood up against Triumvir Lothano's fury. You're just like how remembered you. Okay. You whisper as tears run down both your faces. No? I couldn't say the same about you, Leon, she replies, drying her face. You've changed, and not how I would have hoped. Her voice is disappointed. You've become just like Triumvir, if not worse. We fought to protect you from his madness. I gave my life for you. Is this how you repay me? Trying to subdue other peoples? Using magic for your own gain rather than good? I just want to take back what's mine. Satrapor is my home, my land. And what are you doing now? You fought Raymond, conquered cities among cries and blood, and still you are not satisfied. I need to stop you. Asperia's words deeply hurt you, but you have no time for self-pity. She attacks immediately, summoning an Earth? Elemental. Her dominating element. It's solid and massive, a fearsome foe. However, you have a huge advantage. You can use all 4 elements. Only one is fit to oppose Earth. Ich weiß es ehrlich gesagt so spontan gar nicht.
You summon a fire elemental. But unfortunately, it wasn't the right call. The heat doesn't even scratch the solid rock body of Asperia's creature. Besides the nature of the elements, you always need to carefully consider their structure as well. And this time, you were wrong. It was one of the first rules you'd been taught in Balinor. The 2 creatures fight, following your commands. But soon enough, your elemental is defeated and bursts in 1,000 fragments. Without hesitating for one moment, Asperia orders hers to attack you. You're helpless. The elemental violently takes you down, beating you to a pulp. You're on the ground in a puddle of blood, and Asperia bids you farewell, crying.
I'm sorry, Leon.
Ach Mann, was war denn gegen Erde? Luft? Luft schlägt Erde.
You summon an air elemental. Asperia's creature is too massive and solid to oppose another element. Another earth elemental surely wouldn't be powerful enough to beat it. She specializes in earth magic, and you wouldn't have stood a chance. On the other hand, an air elemental might consume and annihilate the rocky creature. The 2 monsters fight a fierce battle, but ultimately, air prevails. A whirlwind destroys the opposing elemental, scattering pieces of Asperia's conjuring all over. As the battle comes to an end, you lose control of your creature, which attacks the witch. Air blades tear her to pieces, and finally, it dissolves.
I'm sorry, Asperia.
Tears stream down your cheeks, but your determination doesn't falter. Suddenly, everything becomes dark. A white door appears in the sea of darkness. You strain to stand up and walk through it. You wake up with a start in your bed. The sheets are drenched in your sweat. Your bones hurt, but you try to get up anyway. The sunlight filters through the windows, welcoming you to a new day. Judging by the looks of it, you think it might already be late in the morning, and you have many things to attend to. Your real journey to your destiny is about to start. You call upon the servants and order them to draw you a warm bath and prepare some clean clothes. When you're done, you wield your sword and your staff. As you're about to leave the palace, a roar vibrates the air outside, causing a chorus of outcries by the city's inhabitants. You quickly figure out what is happening and establish a mental connection to your dragon. This psychic bond you have with the creature allows you to see through its eyes, as well as perceive its thoughts, and bend the creature's will. As you move to leave the palace, you order the guards not to harm your powerful ally. Once outside, you look up, uninterested in the panicking people in the streets. You command the creature to land in the square in front of the palace's entrance. The dragon replies, growling loudly, complying with your wish, landing in front of you with a loud thud. The dragon's eyes are lively and ravenous, but it bows down its head to you, so low its snout touches the ground. whining like a puppy waiting to be petted. You approach your pet as the bystanders stare at you in silent awe and reach out to caress the creature's nose. "It has been too long, my friend," you whisper. The tension is eased, but many people are still skeptical and afraid despite your actions. After all, dragons are still among the most dangerous and feared creatures in the world, and you doubt any of your subjects have ever seen one before. They haven't been around since Triumvar Lotanor's time. It's time to leave. My fate is at the horizon. You confess to the dragon as it enjoys your attention. You walk around the beast's head and jump on its neck. Everyone is in shock, staring slack-jawed at a scene nobody thought possible. "Fly," you order the beast. The reptile replies to your command with a cry of joy. With a mighty push of its paws, the creature leaps into the air, spreading its wings and heading to the horizon. As you're flying on your dragon, you try to savor the amazing feeling. Sitting on the dragon's back, hundreds of feet high in the sky, is liberating, unique, and priceless. Your focus soon returns to the goal at hand. In just about a day's travel, you cover a distance that would have taken you almost a week riding a horse. You circle the city a couple of times and see its inhabitants running, panicked. Some of the soldiers follow suit, while others wield their weapons, ready to fight. They're obviously scared to see a dragon. There hasn't been one in the Kael'Sanar since Triumvar Lotanor's time, spreading panic at his command. You could land to peacefully confer with the town's governor, or you could attack the city as a sheer show of force and then dictate your will.
Ja, das, Ich versuch's mal wirklich friedlich, ja?
You take the dragon down in front of the city gates, far enough to be out of range of any attack from the guards, who are standing on the walls with bows and crossbows, ready to fire. The doors have been sealed shut, and a fully armored man wielding a shiny sword appears on top of the bastion. After observing and recognizing you, he shouts,
"What do you want, Leon?"
"Greetings to you, Laman, Paladin of Alenbor. I come in peace, looking for your cooperation."
"With a dragon?"
he caustically asks. "It saved me a lot of time getting here," you reply with the same tone.
"I don't trust you,"
declares the Lord of the city. "As you shouldn't, but can we try to find a deal and talk eye to eye?" you ask, diplomatically.
"Start by sending that beast away. Then we can talk."
Seems fair, but you get those guards to lower their weapons. I don't like having arrows aimed at me, you request. The knight raises his arm, and all weapons are lowered. In reply to the man's courtesy, you issue a mental command to the dragon, which flies away. "Now, can we talk?" you inquire again.
"I'm listening."
You shake your head, vexed. "Privately, I have something to ask for your ears only, and the decision will be solely up to you. Come down with an escort if you wish, but I can assure you I have no ill intentions." The man leaves the bastion without replying. You hit the spot, aiming at the man's pride. A while later, the gates open, and the man in armor comes out alone, his sword back in its scabbard, helm off, to allow his thick blonde hair to wave freely in the air, and to look into your eyes directly. He stops at a few feet from where you're standing.
"Speak,"
he orders firmly. "I need your help to provision my army when the time comes. I need to take back Satrapor, and can't do it without your help. So, he finds your request somewhat interesting and furrows his brows, revealing some wrinkles which betray an older age than the one he could pass for.
Why should I agree? You're a threat for the whole of Kael'Sanar. I don't even know why you haven't attacked us yet, and you want to join forces with us so that we can help you spread death and destruction.
You need to think carefully about your reply. You chose diplomacy, and you still believe it's the best way to go for your purposes. You could try to reassure him with the half-truth that you won't attack other cities after you'll have taken back what should already be yours, and that you'll leave the rest of Kael'Sanar to its rightful owners. Or you could propose an alliance, appeasing him with promises of future glories, even though corrupting a man like him won't be easy.
Dann kriegt er diese Halbwahrheit zu hören.
I don't intend to attack any other city in Kael'Sanar but Satrapor, my birth town. I have other goals for my life, and I'll leave all the domains I've conquered so far. You have my word. You reply, shrugging.
Why should I believe you?
Laman asks. That's up to you. I could have rained fire down on you without a warning, conquering this town as well. Instead, I'm here talking to you, recognizing your authority and asking for your help. This way, there'll finally be peace everywhere, and I'll get back what had been taken from me a long time ago. Your proposal seems to have touched Laman. He runs his hand on his chin, pensively. He knows your story well, and looking into your eyes, he seems to find the truth of the words you've just spoken.
That might be true, Leon. But if I'm to help you, I need a guarantee that you won't attack any other city, and that you'll leave behind all the ones you have conquered so far.
You have my word, you declare.
I need more than your word. I need your staff, until our pact is sealed more formally.
The request is certainly hard to comply with. You know you are powerful without your staff as well, but parting with it is complicated for you. Rejecting the offer means the door will be shut in your face, and you have no intention of leaving empty-handed. If you do turn down Laman's request, you'll have to attack the city, destroying any chance at an alliance. What will you do?
In dem Fall gehen wir das doch mal ein.
Separating from my staff is hard, but if it helps reach a peaceful solution, I'm willing to part with it temporarily. You go get the object from the horse and hand it over to the knight, who takes it, surprised you agreed.
We have a deal,
He affirms. I know you will honor it, as will I. You reply, smiling. You grip each other's forearm as a sign of agreement, and then he gestures at you to precede him through the city gates.
You'll be my guest. You'll have food, wine, and a room for the night. Stay however long you prefer.
The lord of the town offers. Thank you, Laman. I can assure you it won't take long, and my presence won't be an inconvenience for you or your people. You reply kindly. You enter the city and are escorted to the palace.
Wird dann mal ab dahin.
You and Laman are sitting at a large triangular table in a great hall, adorned with a plethora of tapestries. The scribes and bureaucrats have been summoned hastily to prepare the deal now in front of you. The documents contains all the clauses you must comply with to seal your present and future terms of alliance and non-aggression. Also, you must agree to leave all the domains you have conquered once you have taken back your birthland, of which you are its lawful heir, as Alanbor recognizes, committing to supply you with the necessary provisions to regain Satrapor. Laman's signature is well readable at the bottom of all 3 copies of the parchment, and you sign your name next to it.
Good, Leon. I'm happy we have closed this deal. Thought you would have been different. Warmongering. But I'm glad to see you have higher purposes than merely conquering the world. You're certainly guided by rage, but I understand you. You've been wronged many times in the past, and even though some people tried to help you, you've oft been left on your own. I think it's only fair that Satrapor returns to your hands, as your heritage deserves.
You didn't expect Laman to have such an opinion of you, but he's speaking the truth. And you know you couldn't have found a more trustworthy ally, especially when the agreement is in writing. However, what he said is only partly true. Power is alluring, and you still have to decide whether you will actually respect the agreement once you'll have taken Satrapor back, or if you'll wage war against him. You smile at the Lord of Alanbor and reply to his flattery. I am confident our agreement will benefit Alanbor as well. However, if you don't mind, I'd rather leave tomorrow. I'm weary from my trip, and I would like to get a good night's sleep before returning.
Of course, Leon. I'll have a room prepared for you right away, and tonight we shall feast and celebrate together.
You're glad with how things turned out. You didn't have to shed any blood, and your dream is just within your reach. You've come back to celebrate your victory. The soldiers raise their spears to the sky, chanting your name. Amongst feasts, songs, and dances, the celebrations continue for a few days. Now, you have to wait for Ankalimo. You trust him. He shall certainly bear good news and will have carried out the tasks you assigned him. It's been more than a month now. It's time to move on Satrapor. Finally, Ankalimo comes back with 2 men, who you presume are worthy of his trust. You are in the throne room, and the 3 bow down to you respectfully. Welcome back, my friend. You welcome him with a smile. I'm sure you have. Rise. Ankalimo goes on to introduce the 2. So, they're mercenaries, but they stood out in Ankalimo's eyes. Good. Now, leave us. I'll call for you later, and we'll talk tactics and preparations. Ankalimo, you stay. The 2 bow down and oblige. Your friend's face suddenly clouds. Something didn't go according to plan. You can ask him about the resistance, or about the search for the Sword of Ruin.
Nun, dass die Vertonung hier und da noch ein bisschen lückenhaft und teilweise etwas falsch läuft, ist hier mal wieder ein gutes Beispiel. Die Stimme von Ankalimo ist bei seinen Sätzen überhaupt nicht vorhanden. Leider. Fragen wir ihn mal zum Schwert.
Where is the Sword of Ruin?
Da fällt sie wieder.
Replies the assassin. Ankalimo follows. We'll have to do without. Retrieving it was the hardest of the tasks I assigned you. I'm not mad. You dismiss the issue with a gesture. Anything else?
Nein. Nichts mehr. Hier ist gar nichts mehr vertont. Alles klar. What news do you have of the resistance? I managed to infiltrate them, but I had to abandon the mission. There are a lot, some of them wizards, and Raymond is set on taking you down, but they have some internal struggles that could play out in our favor. What do you mean? I met someone who hates wizards, you included. He's killing all the sorcerers in the resistance and will weaken them. Anything else? No, Leon. Yep. Dann gehen Sie mal weg.
All right, you're free to go. Call for Sargon and then Garrett. I'd like to confer with them individually. And Kalimo beats his fist to the chest and leaves the throne room. A few moments later, Sargon walks in. He has an imposing physique. He must be a formidable warrior. You study him, appeased by Kalimo's choice. You would like to know more about him. What's your first question? How will you train the soldiers? Sargon looks straight into your eyes and replies.
Okay. Wieder nichts. Selber lesen muss man wohl. Vorlesen kann ich nicht, ich kenne das Tempo nicht.
You smile, as you are already well acquainted with swordsman's training. You find his answer satisfying, and move on to the next. Should you ask him how many men he has commanded, or how he will face the battle?
In dem Fall das zweite.
His combat philosophy is interesting. He reminds you a bit of Daragast. You have one last question. How would you handle an enemy who's yielded, or whom you've already defeated on the field? Good, Sargon. You've convinced me. Now, send Garrett in. The commander bows down once more and beats his fist on his chest.
Yes, you wish, my lord. So, dann kommen wir zum Gerät, zu Garrett.
Now it's Garrett's turn. He's a man who inspires respect, and he has the authoritative attitude of one who's used to commanding. Welcome, Garrett.
Thank you, my lord. How can I be of help?
Straight to the point, as you expected. You begin your questioning right away.
Selbes Schema.
And discipline and lashing should they not follow orders.
Garrett replies. You wouldn't have expected this answer from a man like him. You find his answer satisfying and move on to the next. Should you ask him how many men he has commanded, or how he will face the battle?
Facing the battle.
Enemies must be crushed and overwhelmed, my lord. Better if on the field. It would be a show of force to whoever might oppose you in the future. They would shiver at the mere sight of your army.
His combat's philosophy seems efficient enough. How would you handle an enemy who's yielded, or whom you've already defeated on the field?
I would follow my lord's orders.
He continues, shrugging. He's a true and proper war machine. No hesitating allowed. You like him. Good, Garrett. This should be enough. Now, leave. I'll call for you later. The commander bows down once more and beats his fist on his chest.
As you wish, my lord.
So, zu den Söldner.
You sit alone in your throne room to think. You're pleased. Both Sargon and Garrett will be great commanders. You summon them once more, this time together. What do you think of Ankalimo, and of what lies ahead? Garrett speaks first. As you imagined, he's more practical.
Your assassin is precise and lethal. If he chose to serve you, that means he sees you as a great leader. We trust him.
It's not mere ass-kissing. It's a show of respect. Here's my proposal. You shall have 100,000 gold coins each. The two mercenaries pale. They didn't expect this much.
My lord, we accept. Our word is our bond.
Garrett replies. I'm sure. Now, you must plan your march on Satrapur. Finally, the time you've been waiting for so long has come. You waited and planned. Now, you must act. And you will do that with all your wisdom. You've planned out the march to Satrapur in every minor detail. But you won't be leading the army yourself. You will leave this burden to the commanders and their capable hands. After all, you've chosen them because they should be able to carry out the tasks you assign them. You have to make some important decisions regarding the army's march, namely, the siege weapons that must be built and the equipment the troops should carry. It looks like a simple task, but it really isn't. Besides, you decided you'll be handling the provisioning yourself, so you'll have to send convoys to the allied cities. You head to the city's smithy, where the blacksmiths are hard at work forging the weapons for the soldiers. But they shall also create some additional items of your choosing to correctly equip the troops. Setting aside the normal material, you need to understand what needs an en masse troop march might have. While the provisioning will also be supplied by the allied cities, you will be providing several tools directly. You have to keep in mind that all soldiers will bring with them the things you'll commission now, in addition to the armor and weapons. Remember that not everyone has horses to rely on, and that there aren't enough wagons to load the extra material.
So, was sollen die denn also extra tragen? Jetzt mal überlegen, was können die denn zusätzlich gebrauchen? Eine Schaufel. So ein Folding Schaufel, das ist glaube ich so eine klappbare, ne? Oder? Klappbare Schaufel oder so eine Art Hammer. Was ist denn das letzte eigentlich? Ganz ehrlich, ich habe jetzt mal geguckt, ob ich das übersetzen kann, weil ich das Wort noch nie gehört habe und auch noch nicht gesehen habe. wir das. Das sieht nach dem leichtesten aus, was man da tragen kann. Schaufel kann man gebrauchen.
You stop by the blacksmith and are greeted with reverence by him and his subordinates. While you're there, the work stops briefly. Please continue. I need only speak with your boss. The man leaves the workers temporarily, following you out of the smithy.
I'm at your command, my lord.
I need you to build enough folding shovels for the whole army. I wouldn't want them to face any hardship in their time of need. Should they get sick with dysentery, all of them must be properly equipped to dig a hole to avoid an outburst of an epidemic that could compromise the lives of all the others.
As you wish, my lord. Is there anything else I can do?
You quickly think about how you're about to lay siege to a fortress, so you could probably use some more material to load on the wagons. It depends on how you want to attack the walls and on the strategy that will be adopted for the attack.
Dann machen sich Haken ganz gut.
I need you to build several hooks for my soldiers. They need to be tough enough to allow them to easily climb over walls, as well as for being tied to thick and sturdy ropes.
As you wish, my lord.
How long will it take? You ask impatiently.
A few days, my lord. We won't let you down.
I hope you're right. You tell him while taking your leave, heading to the master builders to manage the second part of your siege strategy. Once out of the smithy, you head to the master builder, who is working hard on several siege engines. The basic tools are normally built in bulk, but other things must be taken care of along the way. As a matter of fact, some of the builders and some of the blacksmiths will go along with the army in case of any last-minute needs. Now, you have to prioritize. There are many machines that can be built, and they will be the real issue for the soldiers, as their safe transportation will be crucial. As you talk privately with the master builder, you try to focus on what you'll need the most. First of all, you can only take one type of machine with you, so you have to choose between ballistas and catapults. There is no time to build both, and most importantly, you don't have enough resources, so you must choose which siege engine to rely on. Ballistas.
Ich wollte das gar nicht vorgelesen haben. Das hat mich ja fast erschrocken. Aber das war auch meine Wahl.
You must build several catapults. There must be enough to lay siege to Satrapur, accounting for the several breakages along the way. Can you do it?
Of course, my lord. It will take a while and many people to do everything, but we'll manage. Is there anything else?
Actually, you could use something else. Would you like to have the master builder also create some siege towers or ladders to climb up the walls of Satrapur?
Hat mir gefallen, diese Türme.
You'll also have to build some sturdy siege towers. They have to be tall, with shields to protect whomever is inside, have large wheels, and be easy to carry. And again, they must be solid.
We won't let you down, my lord,
replies the master builder. Now, get back to work. I have other business to attend to. You head back to the palace, where you shut yourself in your lavish and silent chambers. Sitting at the desk, you start writing several dispatches. You need to start preparing the provisioning and the supplies. The supply line has to be perfect. Supply chain. The missives you're writing will be entrusted to messengers who will take them to the allied cities, so that the orders will have been received before the army even marches out. Everyone must be ready to support you for this war. You outline a series of joined supply chains that will come in from other cities. As there is no sea nearby along the route, you won't have a naval chain. Luckily, Most of the march won't take place in a hostile environment, so there is little chance that rebel forces will get in your way. Finally, you send off the dispatches so that the convoys will be ready by the time your army marches out. You almost didn't notice how stressed out you are. The tension is visible even on your face. You'd like everything to go as planned, but first, you want the army to leave without you. You'll catch up with them later on, after you're sure everything is working out. You send for a couple of courtesans to be brought to your room to entertain your manly needs for the rest of the day. Soon your vengeance shall be complete, but you don't like to see it as revenge. You prefer to think of it as justice. This is for everything that's been taken from you when you were a child, and for the people who died because of it, like Asperia, your mentor, who mothered you. There's even Daragast, the man who taught you so much, only to disappear, grieving for the loss of his beloved. How could you blame him? Where is he now? Would he have joined you? If you found him? There are too many questions left unanswered. Finally, you will get the chance to settle all your scores. Your thoughts are suddenly interrupted by a light knocking on the door. You invite into your room the two wonderful ladies on the threshold. There, you consider bitterly. They really took everything from me. Even the ability to court a woman. There's only courtesans and whores for me.
So, das war das Beginning mit Leon. Ich glaube, das war das längste von allen vieren. Jetzt haben wir alle durch und jetzt kann im Prinzip nur eines weiterhelfen, der Release des Spiels. Denn dann kann es auch weitergehen. Jetzt haben wir aber einen Eindruck von diesem Fantasy-Rollenspiel auf Pen-and-Paper-Basis, wenn man so will. Ne? Und ja, es ist durchaus, wie ich persönlich finde, spannend. Eine Geschichte, die erzählt wird, sodass man nicht gezwungen ist, alles selber zu lesen. Eine interessante Geschichte insgesamt bei allen vieren. Bei einigen kreuzt sie sich immer wieder mal, weil sie auch zusammen gehören. Inwieweit das dann so ist, ob man praktisch den anderen Charakter auch nochmal spielen kann und die Geschichten sozusagen parallel spielt, oder ob es dann einfach weitergeht, das weiß ich noch nicht. Das stand auch jetzt nirgendwo so in den Infos, die ich finden konnte. Aber auch die Rätsel sind sehr interessant und die sind echt gut durchdacht. Also Respekt. Da muss man nachdenken. Also einfach Kopf zu, anhören und durch ist nicht. Aber das ist auch okay so. Gut, wenn das Spiel dann also mal tatsächlich draußen ist, kommen wir auch über diesen Punkt hinaus. Und dann wird es mit Sicherheit auch noch das ein oder andere Video mehr dazu geben. Denn ich selbst bin auch gespannt, wie diese Geschichte weitergeht. Die bereiten sich auf einen Kampf vor. Auf unterschiedliche Art und Weise. Und das kann mit Sicherheit sehr interessant werden. In diesem Sinne, bis zum nächsten Video. Und das Spiel gibt es übrigens auf Steam. Sonst glaube ich nirgendwo anders. Ne? Also viel Spaß beim selber erleben. Und bis zum nächsten Mal.